All right, thanks, guys. We improved to 2-0 yesterday in our last two Better Friends tier package picks on patreon.com/BrockPage. And of course, that's a website that I operate that gives you premium daily sports picks beginning at just $1.99 through the end of the month. That's also going to improve our record to 60% in our last 10 Better Friends tier package plays in that same category. But before we get into some more of that, let's go ahead and take a look at some Russian Liga Pro table tennis action. And we're going to start with Georgy Vladimirovich Vaknin squaring off against Vlad Petrov in a 5:30 p.m. Eastern showdown. Petrov dropped 5 out of his last 6 matches, including 3 shutout losses during that stretch. He was shut out by Vlad Shirokoff twice, and Georgy Vladimirovich Vaknin once during that stretch. Now, Petrov's also winless at his last 2 head-to-head meetings with Vaknin, winning just one total set in those 2 matches combined. And speaking of Georgie, he's won 4 out of his last 6 himself, including 2 dominating shutout victories during that span. He shut out Petrov twice during that stretch. Georgie's also garnered himself marquee wins over the likes of Croakin and Andreev within his last 8 contests as well. Looks like a pretty good spot for Petrov backers here. Give me Vlad Petrov winning this one straight up for some moneyline cash. And before we go ahead and move on, let's go ahead and take a quick timeout, and I'll just quickly welcome you to the show. Got some lines and personal leads out for Thursday's Russian Liga Pro table tennis action. Happy Thursday to you. Hopefully you're having a good week. The weekend is almost here. Now, before we go ahead and move on with the program, I just want to quickly remind you once again to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage, where once again, we're currently 2-0 in our last 2 Better Friends tier membership plays on that website. We're also 60% in our last 10 Better Friends tier package plays as well. That's a very good package for us right now. We do daily premium sports picks on that website beginning at just $1.99 through the end of the month. We also have a bunch of different memberships, tiers, and packages that you can subscribe to. Currently, we have well over 675 members signed up and active on that page. Now, you might be wondering, why would all those folks sign up to receive Patreon picks where they can get them right here on YouTube for free? And that's certainly a great point, a great concern, a great consideration. But, there is a big problem with me handicapping every single game that's on the board, side and total. And the problem is this: if you were to go ahead and bet every single game that's on the board that I put out here on YouTube, side and total, you're almost guaranteeing yourself failure. And I know that sounds crazy, but, just hear me out for a second. If you're going to go ahead and bet every single game that's on the slate with your hard-earned money, it's certainly not a winning formula for success. And as a matter of fact, it's a recipe for disaster. The books are way too smart. They're way too sharp. They certainly have a lot more money than you and I do combined to be able to absorb that kind of action. And most important, the math becomes aggressively against you the more and more games you play like that. For example, if you play every single game on the board. So what I do on Patreon is I make life a lot easier for you. I break it down and focus in on just 3 to 4 premium selections per day. They're high percentage picks, games that I personally have action on. And I'll tell you this much, my current Patreon record is a whole lot better than it is here on YouTube, handicapping every single game that is on the board, side and total. And the good news is this: if you want to go ahead and check out my current Patreon record, you can actually do that for free right now. You have access to it right now at the moment. And that record is located right on the homepage. All you have to do is click the link in the description section below. I'll also include a link in the comment section below as well. And once again, that is patreon.com/BrockPage. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive back into some more free lines and personal leans right here on YouTube. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck, we've got Yuri Mercutio facing off against Nikita Lifeecho. 6 p.m. start time. Nikita's plus $1.25 on the money line. Mercutio is minus 175. But despite being the heavy favorite in this matchup here, Mercutio's lost his last 2 straight and 6 out of his last 8. Even worse, Yuri's been shut out in 3 out of his last 7 defeats. Mercutio's been defeated by the likes of Alex Gribkov, Vitaly Vasilevsky, and Alex Yanishev. Now, Lifeecho on the other side, he's been victorious in 2 out of his last 4, including a dominating effort against Alex Gribkov, 3-0. All that in mind, this match should end up a little bit more competitive than people think, but I do think Mercutio is incredibly overvalued here. Great price point with Lifeecho catching the plus money. Give me Nikita Lifeecho plus 125, getting the job done for some moneyline cash. Next contest, Alex Petrov squaring off against Stan Bikeoff, 6 p.m. Eastern start time. Bikeoff has been red hot lately, winning his last 2 straight and 7 out of his last 8. Even more impressive, Bikeoff's garnered himself shutout victories in 4 out of those 7 wins. Stan shut out the likes of Alex Petrov, Yevgeny Illuokin, and Alex Frolov during that stretch. He's also a perfect 3-0 in his last 3 head-to-head meetings with Petrov as well. And speaking of Alex, he's right in the middle of a 3-match losing streak while also dropping 4 out of his last 5. Petrov was shut out in his last 2 outings, 3-0 to the likes of Vlad Namuscallow and Stan Bikeoff. Petrov's also been victorious in just 3 out of his last 8. Looks like a pure fate of Petrov in this spot here. Give me Stan Bikeoff winning this one straight up in convincing fashion. Next contest, Vladimir Petrov. He's taking on Vlad Shirokoff at a 6 o'clock showdown. Shirokoff is currently on a 3-match winning streak with 2 shutouts during that span. Vlad's also been victorious in 6 out of his last 7, with 4 total shutout wins during that stretch as well. Shirokoff has shut out the likes of Danila Andreev and Vlad Petrov twice during that stretch. Shirokoff's also a perfect 3-0 straight up in his last 3 head-to-head meetings with Petrov, including 2 shutout victories. Matter of fact, Petrov only won just 1 total set in all 3 of those matches. And speaking of Petrov, he's lost 5 out of his last 6 meetings, while suffering shutout defeats in 3 out of those 5. Petrov was blanked by Shirokoff twice and Vaknin once during that stretch. Doesn't look like too appetizing of a spot here for Petrov backers. Give me Vlad Shirokoff getting the job done for some moneyline cash. Next contest, it is going to be Alex Gribkov facing off against Viktor Ivanoff, 6:30 p.m. start time. Ivanoff has dropped 3 out of his last 5, including a 3-0 shutout loss in his last outing to Alex Gribkov. He also lost to Alexei Yanishev during that span of defeats as well. Viktor's currently 0-2 in his last 2 head-to-head meetings with Gribkov. And speaking of Alex, he's currently on a 2-match winning streak, while also going 3-1 straight up in his last 4. Alex defeated the likes of Ivanoff twice and Safonov once during that stretch. Looks like a pretty decent spot for Gribkov here. Give me Alex Gribkov winning that one straight up in a close one. Next contest, it is going to be Vadim Croakin squaring off against Georgy Vladimirovich Vaknin in a 6:30 p.m. showdown. Vaknin's minus 125, Croakin's the minus 115 dog. Croakin is currently in the middle of a 3-match skid, losing to Andreev twice and Vlad Petrov once. Even worse, Croakin's lost 7 out of his last 8 matches, including a 3-0 humiliation at the hands of Danila Andreev. Georgy, on the other side, he's won 4 out of his last 6, including 2 shutout victories in the mix. He also beat Vad Croakin 3-2 in a hard-fought victory in their last meeting. Looks like a pretty good spot for Georgy backers here. Give me Georgy Vladimirovich Vaknin getting the job done on the money line. All right, next and final matchup for the show, it is going to be Yevgeny Illuokin taking on Vlad Namuscallow, 6:30 p.m. start time. Namuscallow's won 2 out of his last 3, including a 3-0 blowout victory at the expense of Alex Petrov. Illuokin on the other side really struggling as of late, dropping 6 out of his last 8 matches, including a humiliating 3-0 shutout defeat at the hands of Stan Bikeoff. Illuokin also lost to Petrov and Frolov during that stretch as well. Gotta fade Yevgeny in this spot here. Give me Vlad Namuscallow getting the job done for some moneyline cash. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some shoutouts. Once again, brought to you by patreon.com/BrockPage, where we improved to 2-0 in our last 2 Better Friends tier package plays yesterday on that website. Shout out to Brandon Saunders, Jeremy Wesley, Shrestha Gupta, Joseph Moylan, Bill McMahon, Tanner Ivy, Kyle McGrath, Ryan Mast, Marcus Rimocans, Goodnight Munchie, Ziggy007, David Abida. Also got to give a shout out to Ibrahim Gowri, James Medina, Dan Paul, Brian Daniels, Zuchu TZ, and last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to one of my favorite ladies out there. Got to give a shout out to Renisha Brown. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. Happy Thursday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.